This is David Stringer, publisher of Prescott E-News, with another chapter of Prescott Talks. Today we are honored to have Jim Arroyo with us. He is one of the founders and the current president of the local chapter, Yavapai County chapter of the Oath Keepers. Jim, thanks for coming in today, and welcome to Prescott Talks. Yeah. Jim, the events of January 6th are in the news. As you know, there's a trial going on in Washington, D.C. There are some very serious allegations against a gentleman named Stuart Rhodes, who is the founder of the national organization of the Oath Keepers. There's a trial underway along with Mr. Rhodes and a number of his associates. I think there's 3 or 4 associates going to trial. They're charged with seditious conspiracy, which is a form of treason for trying to block the certification of the election for President Biden. Right. Have you been following the trial?
Yeah, we're keeping track of it on the internet and what's been put out, and the whole January 6th thing was just a fiasco.
Well, let me just ask you this, just very directly and to the point. Was the local chapter, the Yavapai County chapter of the Oath Keepers, were they involved in any way with the events of January the 6th?
Absolutely not. In fact, when we were getting emails and videos put out by Stuart, we told our people, stay out of there, don't go. There's something stinks about this.
Were you in D.C. on January 6th?
I never left Arizona. No one in our chapter went to that event.
All right, that was my next question. Yeah. Did the local chapter of the Oath Keepers, did you authorize any members to go? Are you aware of any members of the local chapter who did go?
Okay, we don't authorize anything. People are free to do whatever they want, but what we did was brief prior to and recommend that they not go, that it's always a problem at Trump rallies with Antifa and BLM and other problem children showing up, and then the Proud Boys.
So you can say with complete confidence and certainty that the local chapter of the Yavapai County Oath Keepers did not send anybody. You didn't have a surrogate. No. You didn't have a representative. You were in no way involved with the events of January 6th.
None whatsoever. None of my people.
All right. Well, I appreciate you saying that. Have you ever met Stuart Rhodes?
Oh, yeah, many times. I've been involved with the organization for about 9 years now. So we've done other events and preparedness expos and things like that. And so, yeah, I've met Stuart.
All right. And could you just tell us a little bit about what the local chapter of the Oath Keepers does and how you got involved?
The overall organization, the idea was to be an educational organization, to teach about the Constitution, and also to help teach people to hold their elected officials' feet to the fire, to keep their oath to the Constitution. Then we formed the CPT organization.
What's that, CPT?
That is our Community Preparedness Team.
All right.
And we teach classes. We have 5 different teams. We have medical, engineering, communications, preparedness, and engineering. And then we also created an intelligence unit. We created alternative medicine and a psychological trauma team in the event of a disaster.
Jim, the national media, maybe even the local media, they like to refer to the Oath Keepers as a right-wing, anti-government, paramilitary type organization.
Right.
Is that what the local chapter of the Oath Keepers is about?
Okay. None of the organization is that, ever has been. Okay. You can say we're right-wing. I guess that's fair to say because we're conservative, right-wing Christian conservatives. But as far as paramilitary, no, we don't work with the military. If anything, we're para-law enforcement. We've done a number of operations during disasters and to work with our local law enforcement. But as far as being extremists or anything of that nature, an anti-government, no. Most of us work for the government. We represented the government.
Jim, there was a time not too long ago, maybe just last year, when you used to come into the studio here at Prescott E-News. You did programs, and they typically, as I remember, were involved with preparedness kind of issues, national emergencies, civil disasters, things of that nature, how to deal with those things, emergency medical treatment, communications, things of that nature.
Right.
Is that what the Oath Keepers locally is still involved with?
That's all we've been doing. And also with our Yavapai County Preparedness Team, which is nothing but our corporate structure. But yeah, that's our main deal, is to deal with any and all man-made and natural disasters, to teach people how to get through them as best as possible, to take care of themselves, their family, their neighborhood, and their community.
At a typical meeting, and I haven't been to one of your meetings in a while. I have been in the past, but I haven't been to one recently. Are you talking about January 6th? Are you talking about a stolen election, or how do we decertify the election? How do we get Trump installed? Do those things come up at your meetings? Do you spend time on those things?
I'll brief a little bit on what we know about January the 6th. Primarily, our meetings are designed around the classes, which take place between 12 noon and 2 o'clock. Then our main meeting starts at 2. And then we normally do a welcome, and then we do a briefing, usually an intelligence briefing. And then we'll give information out on what we know about January the 6th, only as it pertains to the chapter's organizational skills and such. But we don't go into the politics. We're apolitical and nonpartisan. We do have a political arm now. It's called the Lions of Liberty, and they handle a lot of that. But we do allow politicians to come in.
So I know a little bit about the Lions of Liberty. I know some of the people who were involved in the founding of the Lions of Liberty. What is your relationship or connection with Lions of Liberty?
I am actually on the board of directors of the Lions of Liberty, and we utilize that.
And that would be Luke Solano and some of his associates?
Luke and Nick, and quite a few good guys on there. So
okay. So are you coordinating events? You share speakers? How do you work with them?
We let them come up and do a briefing on the schedule for the meetings, which we meet on the third Saturday of every month here in Prescott, and then I do a brief introduction at those meetings to tell people about our organization, to get involved in the preparedness end, but they handle all of the political stuff.
I see. Okay. Now, as I say, I have personally been to a few Oath Keepers meetings, and I think I've actually spoken a time or two, and I wanted to sort of touch on this because in the media, they try to portray the Oath Keepers, and everybody gets tarred with the same brush as sort of an extremist group. In my experience, you've had political figures, elected figures of all stripes and descriptions. Could you just name some of the prominent political people that have been out and have addressed the Oath Keepers?
Yeah, just off the top of my head, we had Sheriff Masher. We've had our current sheriff, Sheriff Rhodes. We just recently had Sheriff Mack at our meeting yesterday.
Constitutional Sheriffs.
Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, which we're affiliated with. We've had Sheila Polk, our county attorney. We've had Craig Brown, our head of the Board of Supervisors, Kwong Wen. We've had Ken Bennett. We've had, oh my goodness,
Selena Bliss, I believe.
Bliss.
I know Judy Burgess was
Judy
a favorite
Burgess
out there.
has been there. Almost all of them, it's kind of a running joke that Selena Bliss said is like a rite of passage. If you want to run for office, you'd better show up at an Oath Keepers meeting.
And how does that come about? Do you call these people up and lobby them, or how does a candidate or an elected official who wants to talk to the Oath Keepers, how does that come about?
It's very simple. They call us.
Okay.
We have never called and invited a single candidate to come to the meeting. They all know this is the place to come. So Jan will just get phone calls. Hey, we'd like to come out and have 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and we schedule it in. And the only thing we ask is that they get in touch with us in advance, because come political season, everybody comes out of the woodwork. And sometimes the meetings are almost all political candidates, which we like because we want to hear from our people that are running. Who do we support and why?
Jim, about how many people will show up to a typical meeting?
We're averaging 120 to 150, sometimes a little more. On bigger events, like when the sheriffs come out, usually we'll go over 200. But we have had some pretty crazy meetings, 400 to 450.
I've heard about standing room only. Sometimes you have to turn people away.
Oh, we don't turn anybody away. We pile them in.
You did.
Fire marshal's not happy, but you know what? We have a good time. But those are rare. But we've had a couple. We've gone over 450. We are the largest active group in the United States. A lot of people.
Thank you for making that point.
Yeah.
So this group is actually maybe a little bit atypical in that your emphasis is on preparedness, that you are nonpartisan, that you have a broad spectrum of elected officials and political figures who come out and speak to you.
Exactly.
And that you're not pushing any particular extremist or paramilitary ideas.
No, we're not paramilitary. We don't work with the military. We've worked with law enforcement in a number of hurricanes and things like that. I ran a security operation in Prescott where we worked direct with law enforcement. But no, we do not work with the law, with the military. We're not paramilitary, and we're certainly not a militia. If I could just have a minute to talk.
Sure.
We get this all the time. I told this to the German TV and everybody else, and I finally explained it like this. I said, first of all, we have no rank structure. If they want to accuse us of being a militia, then just simply identify my unit insignia. What is my unit designation? What is my next highest unit that I would be assigned to? And who authorized it? And none of that exists. This thing with calling us a militia, and now the FBI calling us a domestic violent extremist or a militia violent extremist. These are classifications from the federal government. We've never been, never have, never will be a militia. That has to be called up by the Congress of the United States. And I'm pretty sure Nancy Pelosi's never going to get on the phone and call us up to do anything.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Now, I have, as I say, I think I first got involved in county politics probably back in 2016 or so. So I've been to your meetings off and on for at least the last 5 or 6 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember anybody handing me an application form or having somebody give me a membership card or asking me for any kind of dues.
Right.
So I'm taking it that there's a lot of people who will come to your meetings on an occasional basis, who just want to see what's going on, hear the speaker, but are not formally members or have any kind of formal association with the Oath Keepers.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Now, national, if you wanted to join oathkeepers.org, that was at the national level.
I see.
At the county level and the state level, there's no membership. We're open to the public. There's nothing to join. You're part of Oath Keepers or the Yavapai County Preparedness Team by coming and participating in our classes. That's it. There is no membership.
So you're not taking attendance? You don't have a roll or a roster of people?
We do have an email roster which we use for putting out information. So that's voluntary. You can sign up for our email roster in case we need to get a hold of you.
I remember seeing an article. I've actually seen several articles in the newspaper about how a list of members was disclosed, maybe given to a congressional committee or turned over to the media. And there were thousands of people on this list, many of whom were police officers, military folks, people of that kind. Yeah. But if the FBI or if the congressional committee came to you, it sounds like you don't really have a list of members.
No, we don't, because we don't have a membership roster. That was at the national level. If you sent in a check to pay your $45 to get your ID card for 1 year, that's the list that got leaked from national.
I see.
We don't have any such list because there is no membership. We're open to the community. Everybody's welcome to come and participate.
And on a given meeting, and I think you have these meetings typically on Saturdays, is that correct?
Yeah, second and fourth Saturdays.
Second and fourth Saturday. And there's a good number of people who are there. They might be there one Saturday, not there the next, but they're not members of any kind of an association. So I'm making this point because I think it's important that we not allow some of our local good citizens, just good patriots and political activists and concerned citizens who might show up to a meeting, that they are in no way formally associated or affiliated with any kind of an extremist group.
No, not at all. I mean, if you think preparing your family for a natural disaster is extreme, okay, I can't do anything about that. But there's nothing extremist about us. What we're doing, in fact, we're teaching things that FEMA puts out that you should do to be prepared for any kind of natural and man-made disaster.
All right. Now, what then is the, given all the controversy that we've had sort of in the national media about the Oath Keepers, what's the future of the Oath Keepers?
Well, I'll tell you, David, my philosophy is Oath Keepers is no longer an organization at the national level. That's all done. They're in shambles right now. To us, Oath Keepers is an ideology. What the oath is, and we still get people ask us, what oath are you talking about? They don't even understand that there's an oath to the Constitution because they've never taken it. So our whole philosophy—
Is this the oath that police officers take, that military people take?
Everybody takes it, and they're slightly different if you're an officer in the military versus enlisted, or if you're in, the way the county sheriff does it, there might be a little bit different. But it's all basically the same thing. We all swore in, all the elected officials, you did it. We swear to uphold and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's it in a nutshell.
And that's the oath that's what the oath that the Oath Keepers is swearing to protect.
Correct, exactly. We feel it never expires. Once you swear in, you're swearing to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America.
All right. Jim, we are going to run out of time here in a minute. And is there anything that I haven't asked you, any particular point that you want to make or topic you want to discuss?
Yeah, our focus is 100% on preparedness. And I'm hoping to do some more content videos for you guys. We're focusing really pretty heavy on nuclear war right now because that's a major threat. But with everything going on in the world, you know, our man-made disasters that we focus on are a economic collapse of the United States, which we feel is in the works, potential for an EMP attack or a cyber attack on the power grid, but certainly World War III and civil unrest, civil war. So the main thing I want to emphasize.
Let me just interrupt you right here, and I don't mean to be interrupting you, but I am interrupting you. I want to explore this a little bit. We recently had the President of the United States saying that we're closer to a nuclear war than we have been since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Yeah. We have the premier of President of Russia telling us that he might resort to tactical nuclear weapons. So this whole idea of a nuclear holocaust that might have seemed so far-fetched even a year or two ago is actually...
It's on the table.
It's on the table, and responsible people are discussing this, and it's something that it's legitimate to discuss. It's not just some kind of a flaky, far-out, right-wing conspiracy. You've got very responsible people now saying, we need to be prepared.
It has nothing to do with right or left-wing conspiracy. It has to do with world leaders that have this capability talking about it and making threats. To me, the saber, it's not saber rattling. The blade's coming out, guys. Eventually that blade's going to clear and they're going to launch.
Let me ask you then, you mentioned economic collapse. What is the concern there?
Well, let's face it, the United States, the dollar is going to collapse. There is a concerted effort between the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. China's leading this to take us off the world reserve currency. We will no longer be the petrodollar. The yuan is what they're looking to push. So if they collapse the dollar, we go into economic collapse. But we're also heading headlong into a conversion into a digital currency, not a cryptocurrency. It is going to be a digital currency controlled by the central banks and the United States government.
Well, we've seen reference to this in the media with the Federal Reserve proposing a digitized dollar.
Biden already signed the executive order back in March, so this is a done deal. It's coming of what they're intending to roll it out around December 13th. We'll know more soon, but that's coming.
And you see danger. You see, you're apprehensive about this.
And we're teaching our people also economic survival of what to do as far as, putting aside extra tangible assets, get involved in precious metals, but things like that. We're also working on a parallel economy to help guide us through whatever collapse they're intending.
Jim, we're just about out of time. I want to thank you for coming in today, and I want viewers to know if they are interested in following the Oath Keepers, of learning more about the Oath Keepers, of attending a meeting. Could you tell us again where you meet and when you meet, and is the public invited? Can anybody show up?
Sure. We meet the second and fourth Saturdays in Chino Valley, 1524 North Highway 89. You can get all the information on our website, ycpt.org. We start at 12 o'clock and go to about 4. And then we also meet in Verde Valley on the first Saturday of every month. So we run 3 Oath Keepers and YCPT meetings a month. And all the information's on the website. Our phone number's there, 928-636-8895. I know they're going to put that up on the screen for you. So yeah,
we're going to put that on the screen. Go ahead and say it again, though. What is the website? And Jim, our videographer here today, will put it up on the website.
Yeah, it's real simple. YCPT, which is for Yavapai County Preparedness Team, ycpt.org. All of the information is there. Just go to events on the calendar section, and you'll see when the meetings are posted and where. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us or call us. And we monitor that 24/7. So, yeah.
Terrific. Jim, I want to thank you again for coming in today and for all the valuable information. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Best of luck. Okay, my pleasure.